Well, I had a FIAD class, and one of the extra credit questions dealt with the sculptures around campus, but I couldn't tell you anything other than that.
I don't know anything about the sculptures on campus. All I know about is the head of Gustav, that is by the president's office, and then the weird sculptures that are in between the music building and the art building.
I believe they're all made by the same person who used to be a student here.
I have to admit that I don't really have very much background information with the sculptures on campus.
So do you know anything about Paul Granlund?
Paul
Name sound
Granlund?
familiar?
Isn't there like a sculpture studio or something's named after him in the music building, that big exhibit thing that they do?
There is a studio named after him by the art building.
And he must have been some type of artist, sculptures, and maybe donated a lot of money to Gustavus or graduated from Gustavus. I don't know.
Do you know anything about Paul Granlund? Is the guy who sculpted them?
Yes, I recognize the name.
Do you know anything about him?
Nope.
We see his work every day. We walk right by without looking up, consumed with the minutiae of our everyday lives. Rarely, if ever, do we stop to reflect on the works of art around our campus, to wonder who created them, what do they mean, and what is their purpose here. Almost all of the public statues displayed on campus were created by Paul Granlund, a 1954 graduate of Gustavus and sculptor in residence for 25 years. He used a lost wax process of bronze casting to create over 650 figurative bronze sculptures now displayed in public installations and private collections nationally and internationally. His legacy includes over 40 sculptures scattered throughout the buildings and grounds of Gustavus.
Well, when anyone first walks into the chapel, if you come through the main doors on Ekman Mall, you touch a Granlund immediately. You grab the vines of that.
Paul's work at Gustavus is centered around Christ Chapel. The former president of Gustavus commissioned Paul to create sculptures for Christ Chapel before the walls were even raised. After the first pieces were installed, he is quoted with saying, "Perhaps in some future century, historians may come interested in the question of whether Christ Chapel was designed for the Granlund sculptures, or the Granlund sculptures were designed for Christ Chapel. If they do, I hope it comes out a draw."
I mean, you probably see them whether you think about them or want to learn about them. I mean, it varies too.
I'm sure subconsciously.
I'd say no. I think it really depends, but I think in the times that we're in, people are like walking or talking, or they're on their like cell phones, or they're on their iPods, or they're doing all kinds of other things when they walk, and they don't really take in the nature around them. I don't think many people stop and take the time to look what's around or what they're going by, or what surrounds them. So I don't think so. I mean, I don't notice as much as I should.
Despite the ubiquitous presence of his sculptures on campus and his importance to Gustavus as an institution, most students don't know much about Paul Granlund and often don't notice or appreciate his sculptures. Even after his death, Paul Granlund's legacy on campus continues. Greg Mueller, Gustavus's current sculptor in residence, was Paul's assistant and drew inspiration from Paul's work when creating a new public sculpture to commemorate the sesquicentennial.
So a few different reasons for this form was, one was to kind of pay homage to Paul Granlund and his interest in the double helix. Another aspect of the piece was how do you depict the idea of a college that grows from 150 years and continues to keep growing. And what kind of stemmed from that then is a potential project that we're working on with a landscape architecture firm that's renovating the Sesquicentennial Mall outside of the chapel. And we're talking about enlarging that sesquicentennial sculpture to more of an 18-foot scale, so that you could literally walk up and sort of read or count those steps or layers of 150 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It, brings like life or something to an area. Whether it's a statue or it's a garden, it kind of depends on your own perspective. But I think stuff like that is good.
It looks nice. I don't know. Sure.
Public art is alright, I guess. Me personally, I wouldn't take the time to look at it and examine it, and I normally wouldn't read anything that was written on the statue either. But for some people, I guess it could have some important historical meaning, but I think it's only cool like one time.
Public art captures a moment in time, a movement, a story, an emotion. Paul Granlund left us a lifetime of work filled with these very things, if only we pause, look up, and take the time to discover them.